creating a new Azure mobile app server and client project. So for this, first in the portal, we will have to create a mobile app. So for this, go to new web plus mobile app. Let us give a name here. Create a new resource group. We'll have a new service plan created. Click on create. Now once this is created, we are going to have, we'll have to wait for this to be created. We are going to have this in app services. So go to app services. Here our mobile app is supposed to be listed. Now refresh. Go to the mobile app. Now there are different ways of dealing with the mobile app. One option is we can make use of quick start. Let's use this first. Now here we will have different platforms listed. See, in a mobile app we are going to have a server project and we are going to have a client project. And of course we will also have a database server. Now the database server and the server project are common to all the client applications which we are going to develop for communication with the server app, the server services. Now the client side applications can be developed in iOS or can be for Android, can be for Windows Phone. So there are different platforms which are going to be listed here now. So you can develop iOS applications using either Objective-C or Swift. You can develop Android application. You can develop C# Windows Phone application, Windows 8.1 and Windows Phone application. And you can also use Xamarin. Now Xamarin has Xamarin.Android for Android based application development. Xamarin has Xamarin.iOS for iOS based application. And we can also use Xamarin.Forms for developing applications which can be deployed for both iOS, Android and Windows Phone also rather. And of course, if you want to develop hybrid applications, you can make use of Cordova. Now, whichever option you choose here, let's say Windows 8.1, first connect to database, 2 create a table API. These two are going to remain same everywhere. The third is going to change, configure your client application. Because I have chosen here Windows 8.1, it is going to provide me Visual Studio project. But if I select Android, here it is going to provide me Android Studio project. Like that, if I use iOS, it is going to provide me Xnode project. So the client API is going to vary a little bit, but the server side part is going to remain same. So first let us begin with creating a database. Because it is in this database only my data will get persisted. So I am configuring. Now to create a new database, first we need to create a SQL server. So here I'll call it as DSS demo server, username, so now select, here give the database name, select. Now a database is going to be created with this connection string, MS table connection string. Click on OK, click on OK, and now we will have to wait for the connection to be created and listed here. So here we have MS table connection string created. Now it's time to download the two projects. Just choose that. You already have the database connection. Now the two projects which we can have is the server project and the client project. The server project can be either in Node.js or in C#. I'll prefer using C Sharp. So I'll download this project and let us open the zip file and extract it. I have created a folder mobile apps. In that I would like to have quick start mobile app quick start server, and then I would like to download, this is Objective-C. Let us say we want Windows 8.1. I would like to download the client project also. Open, extract, quick start client. So now we have quick start server and quick start client, two projects which we have to understand what is there in them. So I repeat what I did so far. I created a new DSS mobile app service mobile app, and there I have chosen quick start, and I am developing a server and a client in C Sharp. Server is always in C Sharp, but client can be a language of your choice based on the mobile app platform which you want to develop for. So here now I go to Visual Studio. Let us open the project, quick start server. Let us now try to understand what is there in this. First, I would like to show you the data class. Studio has already generated certain code. We can either modify this code and continue, or we can completely write our own code from scratch. So you can see that there is a class here inherited from entity data, which is in Microsoft.Azure.mobile.server namespace. But why is it giving error? After downloading the project, you'll have to build once. Because when you build the project, automatically all the NuGet packages are going to be restored, and those are required. Now, what I would like to do is add one more extra property here. Let us say something like comment, which is also get and set. Now for this, which is a class inherited from entity data, we are going to have a controller. But before that, under models folder, I would like to show you there is a context class created. Entity framework model code first pattern. So we have got here on model creating, something is there. That is not of interest to me. This is of interest to me. We have two things here. One is the constructor to which the connection string name MS table connection string is passed to the DB set to do items. So when I build this project and run, automatically to do item table is going to get created in the database as specified in this particular connection string. Now where is this connection string? Obviously this connection string will be in web.config. MS table connection string. But you'll notice that here the connection string is referring to the local database. For testing and running locally, we have got local database. But if you go to the portal, we can see the same connection string in the app settings here. And there you'll find that again MS connection string, and we have MS underscore table connection string. So what we have to do is only publish the application, and after publishing, automatically the database of server, that is SQL database, which is going to be used. So now that is one more important thing which we have understood. So first thing, to do item, the context class and the connection string. Now we will see that there is one controller also which is added, to do item controller, and to do item controller is inherited from a generic table controller. But what we will notice is, go to its parent, non-generic table controller will be there, and go to its parent, and you will find that it is an API controller. So actually speaking, what we have here is an ASP.NET MVC Web API class. To do item controller is MVC Web API class. That means these methods which we have in this particular controller can be invoked using REST API. So we need two things whenever we talk about REST. One is the URL and the other is method. So if the URL is tables/to-do item, get all to-do items is going to be invoked. If the URL is tables/to-do item/ the ID which is going to be assigned here, we will get a to-do item with a specific ID. Patch is the method which is going to be used for updating a to-do item with so and so ID. If you see a delta. Post is for adding a to-do item, and delete is for deleting a to-do item. Now what is very important is these are all methods ready-made. Delete async, insert async, update async, all these lookup, query, all these are actually methods in table controller which are going to operate on a specific table in database. So when I run the application for the first time, are we going to have some data? That we'll have to see in startup.mobileapp. See, yeah, here we have DSS mobile app initializer, create database if not exist. From this context, the database if not existing will be created, and here we have got a seed method. The seed method will ensure that we are going to have two items created by default. First item, second item, and for both of them complete value is false. So what I want to do is, here I added one comment. Now into this comment I would like to program the date and time at which it was added to the comment. So this I will write in controller. If we have post to do item, we get the item. For that item I'll provide comment added at and append with date time dot now dot toString. Date time because system is not there on top. So under quick actions we have to add using system. Likewise, when the item is getting updated, this method is executed. So here first what I'll do is, from the patch, that is delta, I want to get the item. So I'll say patch dot get entity is the method which will get me the entity. Now I will do something specific here. I'll check if the item is marked as complete. See, the item is going to be updated for it to be marked as complete. So if the item is being marked as complete, that time I'll say item dot comment is equal to, I'll give space and completed at date time dot now dot toString. Completed should be comment actually, and I would like to append to the existing comment. So yes, in case we want, we can modify these methods as per our requirement. Now here there is a predefined call to the other methods. Instead you can actually call your own custom methods if needed. It's your choice. Whatever Studio has generated is good enough, and it is automatically going to the connection which is provided in the web.config and update the table. So now it's time to run this project. So press Ctrl and F5. Now how do we submit the request? If I want to get all the to-do items, I'm supposed to provide the URL as whatever is the base URL. To that I should append tables/to-do item. So go to the browser. Here we should append tables/to-do item, and we know that there are two to-do items which are automatically created. Those two we are going to get, and of course it's a web API. The response is going to be in JSON format. Oh, it's giving error. Now this error is because of some versioning issue actually. Here I have. So you can visit the URL with the following, but you have to append this because we are not writing the client application. We are not using the SDK. We are supposed to append this Zumo API version as 2.0. So append that, put a question mark and append, and we should get actually 2 items. Two items in JSON format is what we are supposed to get from server. It is taking little time because for the first request is where the database is going to get created. So now I'll copy this. Now to see this, we'll create a new file. Let's say a text file which is in JSON format. Text file, paste here and save as JSON. Important is .json extension. Now press Ctrl KD and you see there are two out. So this is an array. This is the first object and this is the second object. Two to-do items have been retrieved from server, first and second. Like this only, you can actually take this ID and as per the documentation you can see here in Studio you have got controller, this one, tables slash to do item slash the ID. So I am going to now provide the ID, to do item slash ID, enter. We are going to get only one record this time. So copy this, go back to Studio, that JSON file, delete everything in it, paste, and you see there is only one item with specified ID. So we are able to retrieve all the to-do items, or based on the ID we are able to retrieve a particular to-do item. Mind you, browser does not provide a facility for adding a item through REST API or updating an item or deleting an item. We will have to do that using JavaScript in case we are interested. We have to do by invoking AJAX calls. We'll have to make AJAX calls to the server. But what I want to do now is build a client application which is going to do this for us. But before that, let me also show you one small thing. These are data object. Now you can actually add one more data object here. Add a class. You can give any name to your class. Let's say I call it as employee. I want to manage employee data in the database. And here also I'll inherit from data entity, which is in the namespace. Sorry, it's wrong actually. I did a mistake. The class name is to do item data. Sorry, it is entity data actually. So give here entity data, and that's in namespace Microsoft.azure.mobile.server. So here what is it made up of? Let us say I have emp id, get and set. I am going to have string name, get set. I am going to have maybe decimal salary, get and set. Now for this entity data we would like to add a table controller. So right click on the controllers, add a new controller, and here we'll have a special template called as Azure Mobile Apps Table Controller. Click on add. Choose the model class, employee now, the data context class which was generated, and the controller name. Click on add. Of course, to deal with this particular entity, we will have to make a change to the context class. Small change. What is that? Here we have only for to do item. We will have to also add for employee, and this will call it as employees. So like to do item, now we have got employees table also getting created. Oh, Studio has automatically generated this. I wrote this, but Studio has anyhow already generated this, so we can delete it off. So now there will be two tables in the database. One is to do item, the other is employee. And we have got employees controller. Now how do we visit employees controller? We have to give table slash employees. Earlier it was to do item, now it is supposed to be employee. Likewise, if you want some default data, here you'll have to write code for adding default data into it. So I'm not doing all that. We will run our story around to do item only. But point is that you can always add new tables in the database through the modal object and manage that using new table controller. Table controller is nothing but a web API controller. So in the implementation of methods where we have got each method for adding, updating, deleting, getting one, get all, whatever relevant code you want, you can write. With appropriate return type, you have to ensure is same. So using REST, all these methods are invoked. But what is our requirement? We want to invoke these methods using the client application. As I showed you earlier, we have already downloaded the client application from Quick Start. So I go to Quick Start. Now I want to build my client as a Windows application and Windows 8.1 application. So I have chosen this and I downloaded this, which I have extracted in this location. So now double click on this file, Quick Start client. Actually speaking, we don't have to do anything in the Quick Start client. Simply build and run the application and everything will be taken care of. Of course, before I run the client application, I'm also supposed to publish. This I should publish it. So right click, publish, and publish. Here we have to choose the existing mobile app which we created already. It's publishing it. And in the meantime, I come to the client and let's build the client. Control plus Shift plus B. I'm building the client using shortcut. And because I'm building the client for the first time, all the NuGet packages required or referenced in this particular solution are automatically downloaded. And my application would be ready to run once this is all completed. So yes, two things are happening now. One, my application is getting uploaded or deployed in Azure, the mobile service application, the server component, and I'm building a local client on my desktop. Now it's time to run the local client. Just press Ctrl F5. I did not show you anything here so far. Already installed on this machine. Would you like to continue? Just say yes. Here it goes. So you see already you have got two items here. First item, second item. You can actually add the third item. So new to do items we are adding. And what we will notice is if I go to now my project and would like to look at the table. It's a database table, so we can connect to that using Management Studio, SQL Server Management Studio. But before we connect through Management Studio, we have to allow our IP in the database. The firewall settings. Show firewall settings and add client IP. Click on save. Now we need the connection string. for which I should go to the database, and from the database we can get the connection string. So DSS demo database Windows net, copy, paste, DSS admin and the password. We should have a table there, and expand this DSS demo DB tables, and we should have here the new table to do items, employees also, you see, but we are interested in to do items. Select new query window. So we should have all the 3 items there, 4 rather actually. Execute the script. You see 4 items and they are added. 2 were automatically added by Studio, so there you don't see anything for comment, but these 2 we added. Now what I'll do is again run the client application and I'll mark them as complete. So actually the code is already there. If I click on it, it is marked as complete and also removed from the list. So let us see now if these are marked as complete. Back to Management Studio, execute the query, and we should notice not appending. What is wrong in code? Something should be wrong in my code at the time of updating. To do item controller, patch, it's not updated. What could be the reason? Something to do with client application. Yeah, in client actually here also we will have to do item. I'll explain the code little more in detail later, but go to definition. Here also actually we are supposed to provide public string comment get and set. So now verify in table what is the column name, comment only, so no need to even give lowercase. Let's run this now. I'll close the old instance, because if comment is not passed it will be null, and null plus equal to will become null. That's how it's not getting updated. So this time it should actually. So I'll add one more item. Mark these 2 as completed. Verify in database. You see, completed at, added at, completed at. Well taken care of. Now let us try to investigate what is there in the client application. Though a lot of it is auto-generated, little bit of it we would understand now, and the major part of it we are going to understand when we are going to write our own application from ground up in the next chapter, in the next session. So here you see there are 2 projects. One is Windows project. What you are seeing output is actually the Windows 8 app, and the other is Windows Phone app. Now both the projects are using code which is common in the shared folder. So this is a shared project whose code is shared by both of them. So in both of them we will find XAML file, but the XAML file here doesn't have any code. Main page.xaml, right click here, this is the design. Okay, here you have, this is XAML, and under this you will find code which is blank, but this is the partial class. This partial class is partial to the main page.cs in the shared project. So most of the code is here. I do not want to discuss the code now here, but otherwise it is just insert to do item. But what is insert to do item doing? To do table. What is to do table? On top you have got to do table, get table. All this is through mobile service. So this client, only when I build from ground up, step by step, you will be able to easily understand all the code which is there in this. And again I repeat, there are two projects. Actually we can right click here on the Windows phone, set as startup, and if I run this, the output is now going to appear in the phone emulator. The emulator is opening. The application is supposed to load now. It will take a while. And chances are on your machine the same thing may not work at all. Because for emulator to work, you'll have to do a lot of configuration. So when you're trying on your machine, if you get an error message, you'll have to read the error message what you are getting and maybe copy the error message, put it in Google, figure out what is the solution, how to configure your machine. Maybe you'll have to make certain changes in the registry also, and then only we will have the Windows Phone application running. So you see now we have the two items. I add the third one. Will get listed here. We'll mark the first and second as complete this time. You can refresh, there is only one. Of course, verify now. Even the completed, you see, all are completed except the last one. So you can either execute the program through Windows Phone or as a Windows 8.1 app. I am leaving you here without explaining you much of the code, because as I said, we are going to discuss the complete code of the client application in the next chapter, where we are going to write everything from ground up.